Yeah, so in literally every single case that I have ever known, our predatory elder male in question will always resort to victimization as their mitigation for what they have done or are doing. For example, Hugh Edwards, upon being exposed, I am mentally ill, I have diminished responsibility, look, I'm checking myself into a clinic now, here I go, only after the fact that he got caught. Phillip Schofield, he only announced himself as being a homosexual live on national television because it is liable that somebody had threatened to imminently expose his unethical relationship with a junior male employee. He had clearly banked on the fact that this act of perceived bravery and display of vulnerability would find the public on his side through sympathy, and ready to speak in defense of Schofield should the story break. Eventually, the story did break, and while some parts of the media and public had sympathy, most did not. I personally will never have sympathy. Phillip Schofield is a narcissist. He's a terrible human being. And frankly, I feel so sorry for his wife and children. He's always quick to praise his wife for being amazing, for being his rock, and for supporting him no matter what. And this is a woman who clearly has absolutely no self-worth, because Phillip Schofield, being a master manipulator, has conditioned his wife through years upon years of validation, such as, she's amazing, she's my rock, she's this, she's that. In reality, what other reason could this man possibly have for announcing his sexuality live on national morning television? How self-absorbed is that? Literally nobody cares that you are a homosexual other than your wife and family. Ergo, upon informing your wife, you should have amicably separated, spent some time alone to address your issues, soul search, figure out who you are, work on yourself, develop as a human being, and by that time you are ready to enter a new relationship. That relationship being with a man, the media at this point would not have cared one iota. Being homosexual is not offensive to anybody in any which way, shape or form. It only becomes shocking when you are revealed as a homosexual whilst you're in a monogamous heterosexual marriage. Schofield had clearly monkey branched from his wife for this young male employee on his studio set, and I mean, monkey branching is just such an utterly toxic and unhealthy thing in itself to be doing, but lest we forget the abhorrent nature of the relationship he actually then went on to enter. I mean, isn't Phillip Schofield's brother a convicted sex offender? Didn't he have homosexual relations with a minor? I believe that to be the case, so I mean, I really ought to do some research into this and look at the wider picture here. But if so, I would love to be able to sit them both down together and discuss their childhood and their formative years, because something has definitely happened here. There's an obvious common denominator, but even so, there is no excuse for them being predatory men. Just because a person is over the ages of 16 or 18 does not make them a fully emotionally developed, stable adult. In truth, they are still psychologically developing young people up to their 30s and beyond. We don't get to the age of 18 and then overnight we are all suddenly a stable adult. This is the whole argument. It's the legality. The legality justifies what they are doing, but morality does not. So, Phillip Schofield is not a victim. He made the conscious decision to enter a heterosexual marriage, procreate within this marriage, and establish a stable family dynamic, and this is no easy feat. This requires so much dedication and commitment and work. But even if he began to identify as gay long after this fact, ultimately he made no effort to communicate with his wife, separate, re-establish a stable family dynamic for his children's sake, before ultimately announcing his sexuality and entering of a homosexual relationship. He was concurrently engaging in homosexual practices whilst in his marriage to a female, and consciously presented instability and potential trauma for his children. Phillip Schofield is not an emotionally stable, developed adult for his age. He is immoral, he knows right and wrong, he is conscientious, and yet he chose to simply disregard morality.